One of the best ways to become a stronger runner is to gradually run more. But increasing your mileage can also be one of the fastest ways to end up sore, exhausted, or injured, especially when your fitness improves faster than the rest of your body can adapt. So how do you build mileage without breaking down? Hi, I'm Ralph, and welcome to the Ageless Runner, where we talk about how to run smarter, go longer, and stay ageless. Today, I'm going to show you a safer and more sustainable way to increase your running mileage. And the first thing to understand is this. Your heart and lungs may be ready for more miles than your muscles, tendons, joints, and connective tissues are. That is where many runners get into trouble. A longer run may feel fine while you are doing it. Your breathing feels controlled, your legs are moving well. You finish thinking, I could probably do even more. But that does not necessarily mean your body has fully adapted to the training load. The real test is not how you feel during the run. It is how well you recover over the following 24, 48, or even 72 hours. Now, before you add mileage, you need to know what your current baseline actually is. Your baseline is not the biggest week you have completed recently. It is the amount of running you have handled consistently without excessive soreness, unusual fatigue, declining performance, or repeated aches and pains. For example, if you normally run 15 miles per week but manage 20 miles once, your baseline is probably closer to 15, not 20. You want to build from what your body has already demonstrated it can tolerate, not from what you managed to survive once. Ideally, you should feel comfortable at your current mileage for at least a couple of weeks before adding more. And if you're already feeling worn down, that is not the time to increase. One of the biggest mistakes runners make is increasing several things at once. They add mileage. They add another running day. They make the long run longer. They start doing hills. And then they add speed work because they are feeling motivated. Each one of those changes adds stress. When you combine them, it becomes difficult to know which part of the training is causing the problem. A better approach is to change one variable at a time. You might add a small amount of distance to one or two easy runs. Or you might add one short, easy running day while keeping your other runs the same. Or you might gradually extend the long run while holding the rest of the week steady. But do not increase distance, frequency, and intensity all at once. More mileage should usually come from easy running, not from turning every run into a harder workout. You have probably heard that runners should never increase their weekly mileage by more than 10%. That can be a useful guardrail, but is not a scientifically proven guarantee against injury. A 2014 study followed 874 novice runners and looked at changes in weekly running distance. The runners were grouped according to whether their mileage decreased or increased by less than 10%, increased by 10 to 30%, or increased by more than 30%. The researchers concluded that runners who increased their distance by more than 30% over a 2-week period appeared more vulnerable to certain distance-related injuries than those who increased by less than 10%. But the researchers also described the study as exploratory. In other words, it suggested that large jumps may be risky, but it did not prove that a 10% increase is safe for everyone. And a percentage can be misleading. For a runner doing 10 miles per week, a 10% increase is only 1 mile. For a runner doing 30 miles per week, it is 3 miles. Those are very different increases. Two runners doing the same mileage may also have different training histories, injury histories, and recovery abilities. So use the 10% rule as a rough checkpoint, not as permission to ignore what your body is telling you. A smaller increase that you can absorb is better than a mathematically perfect increase that leaves you struggling. There is no prize for increasing mileage quickly. The goal is not simply to reach a number. The goal is to reach that number healthy enough to keep training. Now, a very important point to keep in mind is you do not have to increase your mileage every single week. In fact, that is often where runners get into trouble. A better approach is to increase slightly, then hold that mileage for a week or two. That gives your body time to adapt. For example, you might increase from 15 miles to 16 or 17 miles per week. Then remain at that level for another week before deciding whether to add more. Every few weeks, it can also help to use a cutback week. That means temporarily reducing your mileage to allow accumulated fatigue to settle. You are not losing fitness during a cutback week. You are giving your body the opportunity to absorb the training you have already done. This can be especially helpful for older runners because our recovery may not always follow a predictable schedule. Holding steady is not failing to progress. Sometimes holding steady is exactly what allows progress to continue. I want you to be especially careful with your longest run because the long run is often where runners try to add mileage first, and that can work. But you need to be careful about making one individual run much longer than anything you have done recently. A large study published in 2025 followed 5,205 runners and analyzed more than 588,000 running sessions recorded on Garmin devices. The researchers compared the distance of each run with the runner's longest run during the previous 30 days. They found that the rate of overuse injury increased when a single run was more than 10% longer than the runner's longest run during that previous 30-day period. The risk was highest when the runner more than doubled that recent longest distance. Interestingly, the study did not find that simple week-to-week mileage changes predicted injury in the same way. That does not mean weekly mileage is irrelevant, but it suggests that the sudden spike in one individual run may deserve more attention than runners have traditionally given it. For example, if your longest run during the past month was 5 miles, suddenly running 8 or 10 miles may be a bigger concern than a small, evenly distributed increase across the week. So instead of adding all your extra mileage to the long run, consider spreading some of it across your easy runs. You might add 5 or 10 minutes to 2 easy runs rather than adding 20 minutes to 1 long run. That distributes the training load more evenly. I personally do not feel the need to complete a long run every single week. Depending on my training and recovery, I may schedule one every 10 to 14 days. The exact schedule may be different for you. What matters is that your long run supports your overall training rather than leaving you depleted for several days. Run, walk, run can be extremely useful when increasing mileage. Planned walk breaks can help control your heart rate, manage fatigue, and prevent your running form from falling apart late in the run. You could use something like 2 or 3 minutes running followed by 30 seconds of walking. Or you could take a short walk break at regular intervals before you feel you need one. The key is to use the walk breaks proactively. Do not wait until you are exhausted. Run, walk, run can allow you to increase your total distance while keeping the effort controlled. And taking walk breaks does not mean you failed to run the distance. It means you used a strategy that helped you complete the training with less unnecessary stress. That is smart training. And if you want your body to handle more running, running more is only part of the answer. Strength training helps prepare the muscles to support your hips, knees, ankles, and feet. You do not need an elaborate bodybuilding routine. 2 focused strength sessions per week can be enough for many runners. Exercises such as step-ups, split squats, glute bridges, calf raises, and basic core work can help improve your ability to tolerate running load. The goal is not to become sore from strength training. The goal is to build a body that can better support your running. Most running problems do not appear completely out of nowhere. The body often gives you warning signs first. Pay attention if soreness is lasting longer than normal. Watch for pain that becomes worse as the run continues. Notice if you are changing your stride to protect one side of your body, and be cautious if your easy pace suddenly feels unusually difficult, your legs remain heavy for several days, or you need more and more recovery between runs. One bad run does not necessarily mean anything is wrong, but a pattern matters, and pain that changes the way you run should not be ignored. That is a sign not to push through and prove how tough you are. That is a sign to adjust. Here is today's ageless adjustment for building mileage. Do not wait until your body forces you to stop. If recovery begins slipping, hold your mileage steady. If soreness is accumulating, reduce the mileage temporarily. If a small ache is getting worse, address it before it becomes a larger problem. Backing off for a few days can feel frustrating, but it is much better than losing several weeks because you ignored the warning signs. Remember, the goal is not simply to run more this week. The goal is to build enough durability to keep running next month, next year, and for many years to come. Build gradually, keep most of the added mileage easy, change one variable at a time, avoid sudden jumps in your longest run, use walk breaks when they help, strengthen the body that carries you, and let recovery determine when you're ready for the next increase. Because the smartest way to build mileage after 50 is not to see how much your body can tolerate, it's to give your body enough time to adapt. Thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments, are you currently trying to increase your mileage, and what has been the biggest challenge? And remember, run smarter, go longer, stay ageless.